One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. Then let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free. Mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. One day I'm gonna be free. I'm standing at the crossroads. I'm feeling like a lost soul. Don't know where I wanna go, but all I know is I wanna be free. They're telling me to let it be, but that just ain't in me, no. Jealousy and envy, but all I see is I wanna be free. See everything I wanna be, exactly what I'm gonna be. Don't let it get the most of me. Eventually, I'm gonna be free. See everything I wanna be, exactly what I'm gonna be. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I'm gonna be free. Let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free. Mentally and physically, emotionally and spiritually. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I told them take their aim off me. Stop trying to get a name off me. If they would just let me be, I'm gonna be free. I told them take some chains off me and throw away the locks and keys. If they would just let me be, eventually I'm gonna be free.
Really see something that said, take a look at what happened. Really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Moving to spare. Hold. When you're ready. On you. Ready. Move. Up. Move. Go. Up.
I was in the first row. I was directly in front of Trump, my seat. I was looking him in the eye. We heard the pops, maybe 3 minutes into the rally, 3 to 4 minutes. I heard 4 pops, pop, pop, pop. The 4 Secret Service immediately jumped on the stage, and we saw him push President Trump to the ground.
There's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. The bottom line is that the Trump rally was a rally that he should have been able to can be conducted peacefully without any problem. But the idea that there's political violence or violence in America like this is just unheard of. It's just not appropriate. And everybody must condemn it.
What up, everybody? What up, though? What up, though? Here we go. 7 days later, we're about to kick it off again.
That's right.
Story. Man, this is something else. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Archbishop. It's Mike Ball. We got Aaron Olinger with us today. This is the Dominant Effect. So today we're gonna do a couple things. We're gonna add a little something to it as well, but we're going to talk about this situation. You know, this is crazy how the world is coming these days. You know, now we're trying to have a assassination attempt on a former president that's running for president again. It's unfathomable, you know, the states that the world is in right now.
No kidding.
So we're going to talk about this situation. We're going to talk about, you know, what happened, what should have happened, what could have been done, what wasn't done. We're going to dip into a little bit of everything. And one thing we're going to do different tonight is that we're going to open up the call lines tonight. So if you have anything that you want to add to the story, you got a question, something that you want to say about it or whatnot, you can jump online and do that. Now, before we open up this call line, let me make something perfectly clear. Number one, we are not talking about politics.
Right.
Do not get on here talking about the election. Do not get on here talking about any kind of policies or anything like that. If you do, we're going to shut your ass off. We're only talking about what's going on, okay? Because this story here, there's a lot to it, and there's probably some stuff on here that you didn't know that that we found out that we're going to share with everybody here. So we're gonna kick this off. So, like I said, everybody knows what happened. Okay, we just popped up the first little 2.5 minute clip there to kind of give everybody a recap as to what on. Now, he was in Pennsylvania doing a rally, and when this took place. Now, one of the things that we're going to get at is that we're going to talk about the actual shooter. His name is Thomas Matthew Crooks. It's a 20-year-old kid. It's a child.
Yep.
That done this, and he was also of doing this situation. But there was a lot of stuff that went on prior to this taking place, and this is some of the stuff that we're going to get into. So, one of the things that I know for a fact is that every rally that these candidates go through, even as president, any place that he goes to at any given time, Secret Service is there weeks ahead of time, laying out the land.
Mm-hmm.
They know where every building is. They know where every blind spot is. They know where everybody that works in those particular areas, that works in those buildings, everything. And they come up with a plan to where that immediate area is secure. So you have Secret Service in the immediate area. Then around those, you have the state police. Then around those, you have your local PD, sheriff's department, stuff like that. But then sometimes they're kind of intermingled in, those tariffs. So to make sure everything is completely covered, that nobody's bringing anything in, nobody's taking nothing out. Now, this kid here, not only was he able to get in, now, from my understanding, everybody that goes through these rallies are searched to make sure they don't have any kind of weapons or anything like that before they even go through. Now, I haven't been to one in a while. I think the last one I've been to was Obama, and I know when we went through there, it was heavily secure. They went through, they checked everything. You couldn't bring no bags in. They wanted you. They frisked you. They did everything before you even went through the gate. So
probably even not allowed to bring a water in there.
Right. You couldn't bring nothing in there. Anything that you got in there, you had to get from there.
Mm-hmm.
Bring nothing in. So when you hear that something like this took place, the first thing you ask yourself is how? How is that even possible? Now, the building that this young man was on the rooftop, aiming down range, same building that a lot of these Secret Service and policemen were inside this very building during that time.
Holy shit.
How weird is that?
Mm-hmm.
You actually own the roof of the building that you got Secret Service, state police, and local officials inside.
Just
and you
below
up on the roof of it.
Yeah.
And it just happened to have been a ladder placed there as well.
Mm-hmm.
How he got up there. So I think the first question I'm gonna ask you two, and I don't care which one go first. We can have Mike go first. You can have Aaron go first. I don't care. But the question that I'm asking is how did this kid get in? How do you think he got in?
Yeah, well, that's a hard one to answer because this is, quite, it's just going to be speculation, right? Because I wish we had the actual footage of the guy when he went up there, stuff like that. But I do know that it was right outside the security zone, supposedly, right? And to me, it's kind of crazy because that's like one of the closest, highest points above Trump. We always say that, we look for the high point. And having that kind of advantage, that's exactly what that is. And I'm surprised that we didn't see that and go, okay, well, let's have guys over here. Let's have the guys over here. It seems damn near impossible to be that freaking close and be able to do what the kid did, which is crazy. Mind blowing.
What do you think, Aaron?
Well, in my case, I'm assuming he lived in the area, which means he's familiar with the turf. If there's any holes in the fences or a fence that he could pull up and shimmy under, he would know about it. I mean, that was the farm show grounds. So if he's ever snuck onto the grounds, he would know how to get on those grounds. I mean, when I was young, I used to sneak into the drive-in to watch the movies when I was young. I knew where to get in through the fence at. And if there wasn't a way to get in, if he had a set of bolt cutters at his house, he could cut the fence wide enough to be able to shimmy in, because it would have been impossible for him to get that case in with that rifle in it there and not be seen by somebody. I mean, I can look at a case and based upon its length, I can tell if it's got a rifle in it or not. So he had familiarity of the area to know where he could get in at.
Mm-hmm.
But once he got in, the building he was on was the building that the police were using as the staging area. I mean, the building was full of cops. Nobody saw him go up that ladder. I mean, what was everybody having coffee or something? I don't understand what was going on there. That the police weren't doing patrols of the area, patrolling the fence line. Um, there's just a lot of holes here, and I'm not getting. And then there's the fact that where they set him up at, he was not in the center of the fairgrounds, which would have been easier to defend and would have made the shot a lot longer. They had him set up over there close to those other buildings, which tactically, that was insane to me. You made your own job hard by setting it up like that. So I just think a true professional would have been a little bit better on planning where he should be set up and what direction he should be facing in. But I'm gonna stop there.
I wonder how long that kid, maybe since the first announcement that Trump was going to do the rally there or whatever. I mean, I bet you right away the kid was like, okay, I'm going to go down there now that, because he's an hour away, right? He lived an hour away. So it wouldn't surprise me for however long, maybe a couple weeks span or something like that, where he was going down there, checking out the scene, trying to figure out where dude's going to be, where can I get my high points. Yeah. I mean, it's sad all the way around though. It's a lot of fuckery.
Yeah, now that's the part that I have the question with. And like I said, you're never going to know what this kid was thinking because he's no longer here.
Right.
But based on some of the reports that we watched dealing with Mr. Crooks here, they said that he was a quiet guy. He was, according to a lot of his peers that knew him from school, they said he was a really smart kid, but he was also bullied a lot,
right?
Picked on a lot or whatever. Now, you're trying to put these two together though, because he was a registered Republican. This was going to be the first time he was actually going to be able to vote. So it's like it doesn't make sense. Like, why would you want to do that? You know what I mean? Because it's like, now you would think it'd be something different if you had, somebody that was like anti-government or something like that who would try something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't, based on what we've seen about this kid, you don't see that. Now they said that they thought that he has some mental issues or whatever, and his mother and father are both behavior counselors.
Right.
So that's what they do for a living. It still doesn't make sense as to why this kid would do it. But the other part that didn't make sense to me was the fact that you went on the very building that all the police was in that building. I mean, it's like that didn't make sense. But even with that though, why was that rooftop not secure? Whether it was police underneath or not, why was that rooftop not secure?
Yep.
Because from my understanding, it was that point, and it was also a water tower that was on the other side that was also not secure. Now, both of these were good vantage points to do something if you really want to do it. So why was the security lax in those particular areas? You know what I mean? And even when you had people actually telling them, hey, there's a guy up there. There's a guy up there with a gun. He's up there on the roof, and you don't do anything. And the one cop that actually did go up there got ran off. Now, how do you get ran off and you got a gun?
Right. No kidding.
That sense. The whole movement to that didn't make sense, which makes you think there's something else behind this. You know what I mean? It's because there's too many gray areas here when you start talking about this.
I have a theory on how and why the kid was a registered Republican. This is my theory kind of ordeal, and I just kind of put, connect the dots, right? And so I was thinking, like, why was this kid labeled as a Republican? Well, I went into his father's history, and his father is a lifer, conservative. And so it makes sense at 20 years old, well, originally 18, right? To follow his father's footsteps, And so these are kind of just like where I go, okay, let's get as simple as hell. Maybe we're overlooking and going, we're going crazy on conspiracy, which it can very much happen too. There's so many, that's what's crazy about it. Then it could be like a CIA plant or, something crazy. Which, hey man, it wouldn't be the first time the CIA has done shit like that. And Gary, as well as what you're saying, and what's up with the being in a BlackRock commercial in 2023? I saw that. Very interesting that the kid's in it, and why would you? I don't know.
That's
Money
something else
motives,
you got to think about. Okay, so why this kid?
right? In particular,
Right, that particular kid just happened to be in the BlackRock video. You see what I'm saying? It's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, they own the world, kind of thing. So it's like,
I mean, there's a lot of head scratching there. But like, man, because a lot of this just not making sense. It's not making sense.
But I'd like to add a little bit, and my thought process is in a different direction. If I was going to infiltrate an organization, I would join that organization. I mean, I don't think that this was a last minute target of opportunity plan. I think this was thought out in advance. So if I was going to say infiltrate the Black Panthers or infiltrate other organizations, I'm going to join that organization first and then get inside to try to create whatever chaos or do the damage I'm going to do or get close to somebody that I can get at. But being a member, it's easier
you guys
for me
hear
to
it?
get in.
Yeah,
Let's go ahead and see this. Connecting. Allow.
Call from
Steven Stahl.
to accept, press 1.
What's going on, brother Steven?
Hey, what's up?
What's up? What's
This
up?
is Steve from Ohio.
Yeah, let's get it. Shout out to you.
Hey, I want to say the show's great, and Archbishop is doing a great job, and so is Mike. You are living it up in Alabama.
Totally am. Totally.
And
Appreciate that.
Aaron, I want to say thanks for the merchandise, and I'm going to get back with this topic.
Awesome.
So, again, how is this possible? How the Secret Service does checks in manholes, etc., and let this happen?
I've got one plausible thing to say. I feel that their level of training has gone down over the years. They're more fashionable. They're getting more women involved in things because Trump is 6'3" tall, or actually 6'2", 240 pounds.
Yeah, he's tall.
Yeah, a person that's 5'9" or shorter cannot protect him. When you get guys going up around him and he stands straight up, he's standing the whole chest and head above his protection, they're not big enough to protect him, which means he don't have regular guys. These are probably temporary guys, and they're probably not trained to the level that his regulars would be if he had permanent protection. So I think they had some new faces on the scene, and when faced with fight, flight, or freeze, we saw where some of them hid behind him. We saw where others got in the mix. We saw where some felt they needed permission to shoot and didn't take the shots in time. I mean, there was a lot of dropping the ball here.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop there.
Yeah, that was the next thing that I was going to get into, because these videos that showed the two snipers that was on the roof, and
right,
they were watching this dude the whole time. And from what I've gathered through watching various reports was that one of the snipers had asked several times about whether to take a shot or not, and that he was told by Secret Service not to take a shot when he could have actually subdued this before anything even took place.
Wow. So they did call it out and say, hey, don't shoot at that yet.
Yeah, because this
Mm.
that same sniper, he ended up getting fired.
Yeah.
Because he did shoot.
Mm.
That's another right. You see what I'm saying? That's another thing.
Mm.
Because if he's already seen him and he's already done radio down, radios move a whole lot faster than you do. So if he's already done, done spotted a potential target, and he done called ahead and like, hey, do I go or no go? And you telling him to stand down, and this guy starts shooting, then you turn around and shoot like after this man is shot. Wouldn't you think that once you seen him and recognized what he had, and that he was not a part of any detail that was there, well, you could tell that by what he had on. You knew he wasn't no part of no detail there. Wouldn't you think that you should automatically take that out? Wouldn't you think?
You would think.
If a person has a weapon in their hand, they're considered an obvious threat. And if you're on Overwatch, and that's what he was on, was Overwatch, he's supposed to have the authority to take that shot immediately. From the time that kid was spotted and they put the crosshairs on him, there was a full 2 minutes that went by, and the kid was not engaged until after he fired. Now, due to rules of engagement, there is do not fire upon not fire unless you fired upon, but that does not apply when you're on Overwatch. On Overwatch, you can be offensive, you can be defensive, you can be a support person, or you can be what they call a tank. If you're a tank, that means you're drawing so much fire to yourself to help your team be able to move forward or to help your team get away. If you're shooting in support, they're going house to house searching, and you see a shooter come out on a roof, you're protecting your team. Defensively, you're stopping people moving up on you. Offensively, you're doing as much damage to them as you can to prevent their offensive ability. This man was on Overwatch. He had a scope on him. And due to him trying to follow orders, not shoot without permission, that kid got off 4 rounds before he was engaged. And truthfully, when the guy went up the ladder and saw the kid, and the kid turned around with the weapon, and he dropped down the ladder real quick, that forced the kid to take a rush shot. He didn't have the time to aim it like he would have. He realized he was spotted. He turned around, he laid down, and he started to take the shots. If he'd have had more time, we could be looking at a different situation right now.
Totally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the officer that we was talking about there, the sniper, his name was Officer Jonathan Willis. And like I said, from what we read up on, he actually watched this guy for at least 3 minutes before he started opening fire.
See, that's a crazy amount of time to know that they're there and then that time lapsing. That's insane.
Right. So you would think that, once he radioed that this is what was going on. Now, mind you, you had snipers all around that spot. So you had more than one eye on him at that point. Where
they're probably communicating with the earpieces and shit. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So where you're able to look at him, you've identified the fact that he had a rifle. Only thing that you need now is order to go or no go.
100%.
But to sit there and actually, for them to tell you no, for you to stand down, and then
it being an actual threat.
Right. You could have, you have 2 people that's still in critical condition, and then you have one that actually lost his life.
Right.
Corey Compatore actually lost his life because he was trying to shield his wife and daughter and end up taking a bullet. That could have been fixed. That never should have happened. That kid should never have been able to let off 1 round.
Correct. especially with Secret Service being in the presence, you know. But it's incredible that the one high point, the closest high point, and above Trump was not secure. It's mind blowing to think that they wouldn't secure something like this. To me, it's simple, but you know, in those very moments, you never know what they're being told. You know, like, hey, we're going to be primarily focusing on this area over here. When here's your weak spot, you know. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
But you know, that's the whole part of the plan that they do weeks prior. Is when because they go
Well, that's what
and
they're
they
supposed to
know,
do and go and
right.
plan
They
super
know
early like
exactly
that.
where that podium is going to be set up at,
Mm-hmm.
and they make their area out. They block those areas out, and they look for points like that. They look for weak points.
Yes.
They look for rooftops that could be exposed. They look for angles. They look for everything. Their job is to make sure that their person gets in, do what they need to do, and get out with no issues.
Well,
That's
I mean,
their job to do.
I believe it would be like that if Donald Trump had the same level of security as the sitting president. I think that would have been more of the case. You know, being that essentially Trump has like the B team, for a lack of better words, kind of thing. It's you don't have that next level of security. And so, you know, it's a little different when you've got sitting level presidents worthy of protection compared to a running candidate that's got like a group of 5 Secret Service agents rather than, you know, having, let's say Biden having 40 people that go out there, plan everything 2 weeks before they go and see where he's going to speak everywhere. They're going to go and do the A-level protection. I just don't think that it was at that heightened like it should be.
Well, you know, once they are on the campaign trail, now you know, Trump already has a Secret Service detail that stays with him all the time anyway. Since he became president, he will always have that detail for the rest of his life.
Correct.
Now, once you go onto the campaign trail, you get more people because, like I said, you're going to be moving. You're moving around. You're going in the areas, exposed areas. You know what I mean, where anything can happen, and that's when you go and you got to correlate with your federal, state, and local police and be able to take care of all that. But that's one of the issues that we have now. When we was talking about the actual agents and about the fact that he didn't have the security that you thought that he should, I mean, it kind of seemed like he had. Rick Ross had better security than Trump did.
No kidding.
You know what I mean? It was when you seen that, you seen one of the ladies was hiding. One of the Secret Service lady was hiding. She wasn't trying to shield nothing. Right. She wasn't shielding nothing. She was hiding. You got that one.
This is just a job for me, you know.
Right. Like, yeah, like
I'm not trying to die over it.
Right. Like I ain't signed up for this.
Right.
But then even after that took place and they shielded him, their job at that point is to get him from that stage to that truck ASAP.
Immediately. Right.
They did, you know, that whole thing where you stood up and you fist bumping and, you know, talking to the crowd.
They should have pulled him. They should have pulled him.
Took place.
Yep.
They should have grabbed him.
We're going now. Yeah.
Down the steps in the truck. If we got to pick your ass up and throw you in there, that's how you getting in there.
Yep.
You know
Even the president has someone to listen to, and that's them. You know,
right?
100%.
You don't have time for that because how do you know that he was the only one?
Yep.
There could have been
had 3 more ready to go.
There could have been somebody else somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know, and while you sitting there fist bumping, okay, he missed. Okay, I got you.
Here comes the other angle. Boom.
You know, so that whole scenario there, in my opinion, was done wrong.
I agree.
I got a little short video here. This is a former Secret Service agent that was that's been talking about some of this stuff.
We hear the shots being fired. President Trump goes down. He takes cover. And it's also very likely when you look at that banner, there's like this banner around that stage. That tends to be some type of steel that's there by design. for an incident like this so that the protectee can hit the ground and take cover. We see the agents come in now from the sides, and their job is, that's the shift. That's what's called the shift. They come in and they are the armor. They're the ones who are literally going to come around. They're going to secure his body. The goal is now, if any additional shots are fired, they take the impact of those shots. They bring him back down. Now you can hear them too. If you're listening to the audio, you can hear them talking on comms. Is it clear? Are we good to go? Because they want to take him from where he's at and they want to move him to the vehicles. Anytime you're open, and if we look at previous assassinations or assassination attempts, Reagan, JFK, just the most recent ones, always outside, right? Always line of sight issues. So they've got him secure. Once they hear the go, you can go. So I'm assuming for them to get the go, somebody probably told them the threat has been neutralized, right? You're not going to move unless you kind of know what's going on. They pick him up, and you can hear the president. It's interesting, just from a human behavior perspective, you hear the president saying, where are my shoes? Where are my shoes? A lot of people are commenting on, is that an odd thing to say? You also have to think about the stress and impact of what just happened. And he's just, it's a kind of like a very human, simple thing to think of.
As an agent, I mean, the president now with this iconic act of defiance, holding up his fist and literally sticking his neck out into the open again. But if you're an agent right then and there, are you just wishing you could just whisk him off to the car? Well,
I saw that, and I saw that. I can understand why he's doing it from that perspective, but from the other perspective, I'm thinking, we know one shooter is down. Right. You don't know if there are other shooters. And then the other thing is when you move him to the vehicles, you want to make sure, does he have any other shots within him and check him.
Yeah, she's 100% right.
Right. So like I said, so when that took place, yeah, you can understand, you would have to be scared in that situation, especially when you sitting there talking, all of a sudden you feel something whiz by, you grab your ear, you automatically take cover, you hit the ground. Now I understand the part about when he's saying where my shoes at, because he just jumped out of them.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, he just jumped out his shoes. Now, what I didn't get was the after part, when they stood him up to get him up out of there,
and then he starts the
stop
whole photo op
and address the crowd and all that instead of just getting the hell out of Dodge. That part right there was like why are you doing that? And
well, who thinks that way real quick? Like, I just got shot, I'm gonna show the whole world, like, hey, like most people are like, I'm just getting out of this situation at this point, and
exactly.
So Trump is like, no, this is I'm gonna show everyone what's up. Yeah, that's crazy.
Right. See, that was, that right there, I think was a foolish thing to do, because that particular target may have been neutralized, but you didn't know what else was there.
You don't know if there's 2, 3, 4 other guys on different rooftops. Yeah, got you zeroed in, ready to go.
Exactly. And your job as a Secret Service agent is that you take what you have and you get them out of there. You know what I mean? We don't have time for the schematics. I mean, we don't have time to you sit here and jump around and act like you're tough and all that jazz. We got to get you up out of here because we don't know what else is here. You know what I mean? Our job is to pick up the package and get you out of here.
Right.
And why on earth would they put that woman in the front and she's shorter than everybody there, and she ducking the whole time. So it ain't like, ain't like she actually.
She's already half as tall as Trump,
Yeah,
and then she's already using
more. That little 5'8", 5'9" frame to get up her anyway.
Yeah.
And actually, for what we found out, like she barely even got there in the first place, though. Am I right, Aaron?
Yeah. And I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna say it comes down to training. You have to train as realistically as you can. You have to do it, and it has to be repetitive to the point that it's ridiculous. It's like martial arts. You do the same move every day for so many weeks, so many months, but what it becomes is what they call muscle memory. When something happens, you will instinctively resort to it without having to think. If you have to think, you're taking too much time. But if you've done it to the point that your instincts kick in and you immediately resort to your training, which most people will, then that's what makes me feel that she was a tad bit undertrained, because she didn't show me anything out there. And the one that was hiding behind the president, that showed me a whole lot on training there, because
Yeah, and she
she
couldn't
just
find her
froze.
holster. She couldn't find her
Yeah,
holster, trying to put
she
it
couldn't
all
put a
like,
gun
and
in
then
the
just giving
holster.
up.
I mean, Trump, to me, he was on adrenaline. He was pumped up. When he stood up and waved his fist, you could clearly see he was taller than most of his protection that was around him. They
Definitely.
should have kept him crouched down low. You are allowed to put your arm up around someone's neck and push them down and
Keep 'em
keep them
down.
down as you move. But I didn't see them doing that. And somebody would still be able to shoot him because he's a tall target.
Right.
But again, it comes down to training. How hard
Right.
do they train? And we got to see different ones kick in. Now, I do feel bad for the sniper that took out the kid, because he got fired for following orders. And I think he got a raw deal. He had the shot. They should have let him take it. But he gets fired for following orders. And as far as the others that are rushing him out, even when they got him to the car, there was a guy there that had an AR, dressed in full military uniform, army hat on and things. And I can't tell from the angle, but he looked like he was pointing the rifle toward the vehicle. And then he lowered his gun down. You could hear him talking on his headset. Somebody gave him some orders. Then he points toward the vehicle. And I don't know if he thought he saw a threat coming, but I'm like, why is he pointing that gun that damn close to the vehicle? What is he seeing? And then he lowers the gun back down as the doors close. I'm like, I don't understand half of what I'm seeing here.
How
But
many
I'm like,
people you think got fired over this whole ordeal? I mean, there's got to be
man,
people that got let go.
there had to be. And I know the FBI is doing the investigation right now, but everyone, when you're in that type of situation, like I said, it's fight, flight, or freeze. And your training is what your mind is going to seek. Your instincts are going to kick in. And if you're undertrained, 9 times out of 10, you're going to run or you're going to freeze. Everybody else is going to start to fight. They're going to go with their training. And the ones that were ready did it. The ones that wasn't didn't do nothing. And it's sad to say, but it comes down to training in the end. And then if you're working with a skeleton crew security staff, because early in the year they wanted to remove his protection from him.
Yes.
And if he'd have been out there with no protection,
Can
oh
you
man,
imagine?
this would have been worse. And then we could be seeing civil unrest on the streets behind this, because this would have been a bad situation if he would have died.
Oh yeah, no. If he would have died, there would have been the streets would have been out of control. 100%.
Oh yeah. Now to go back to Officer Willis. Now, he didn't actually get fired for taking the shot after the shooting. What he got fired for was because he was on a radio broadcast and he told what happened.
No shit.
Yeah, so by him telling what happened,
Yeah,
is what got him
now,
fired.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because he said, yeah, I've seen this guy. Yeah, I was watching him for 3 minutes, and I radioed such and such, and I told them that he was there, and I asked him, can I take a shot?
Right.
And I was told to stand down. So he
Oh,
put that
no.
out there. So by him putting that out there, that's why he was released. It wasn't for him taking the shot. It was
Right.
about him
That makes
talking about it
sense.
afterwards.
That makes sense. 100%.
Yeah. So
Crazy.
that's the issue with him. Before we go any further, there was one gentleman that was killed in this situation.
Yes.
Corey Compatore.
Sadly.
He was a 50-year-old fire chief that had, like I said, he covered his wife and daughter to shield them from any fire, and he ended up taking a bullet himself.
Which is honorable as all hell.
Yeah. So I got a quick little 30-second thing just to talk about him, because like I said, I think that if we're talking about this, then we need to at least, have a moment to know
Absolutely.
the man that that risked his life for his family and paid the price.
The man who was killed in an assassination attempt on Donald Trump threw himself in front of his family to protect them. 50-year-old retired fire chief Corey Comperator was sitting behind Trump at the rally in Pennsylvania when Matthew Thomas Crooks opened fire. A bullet pierced the upper part of Trump's ear and 2 other people were critically wounded. But sadly, Corey died whilst trying to shield his wife and daughter from the gunfire. His daughter Allison said he died a real-life superhero.
Damn.
Yeah, I wanted to.
That's heavy.
Yeah, I wanted to put that out because like I said, everybody's talking about this stuff here, but
while everyone's having a good laugh or mocking the situation or whatever the case is, someone died here. Other people got injured too. And what's really cool is I actually saw the American public get together on this exact issue on a GoFundMe page for the family. And they had a goal of $1 million. And within 48 hours, it was already at 3-point-something million.
Oh, wow.
So I'm very proud of our people for taking care of that, because that's the last and worst final thing about that whole situation is now being in a financial rut as a family trying to bury your loved one and all this crap. So I'm very glad to see that the American public came together and donated to that level. This isn't, Joe Biden's money from, Ukraine type shit where they can just print this. Like for us, it's a big ordeal, to sit there as people that get taxed on literally everything and then to donate their own money to something like that. And then surpass that goal by 3 times is huge.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, because you have to think that was the breadwinner of that family.
Absolutely, 100%.
So, I mean, the family still has to be taken care of, and it's sad to think that, like you say, you wake up that morning going to this rally, not realizing that this is
you're going to give up your life. Right. Like it's like going to an Iron Maiden concert or something like that. Like you're not thinking you're going to go there and that's your last night on the planet. Exactly. Trying to protect your family. Damn, man. It's unfortunate. It should never happen.
Right. Not even, and actually not even knowing it was something even heading his way. He just automatically,
instinct. Like I got to protect these people. Absolutely. His family.
Cover his wife and kid.
That's as honorable, as righteous as it gets. It's a good example right there.
Absolutely. So like I said, prayers and thoughts to his family through this time. I couldn't imagine.
Right.
But he is definitely a hero in my book. Now, after all this went on, there's a lot of different theories that was talked about. Some people said it was staged. Some people said that it was a bullet that hit the teleprompter and it was glass that hit him and it wasn't the actual bullet.
TMZ did that accident right there, and that was one of their big mess ups right there.
Some say that they just pulled this kid from somewhere and just, then talked this kid into doing something, which I did see a report yesterday that said that they believe that this kid did not do this by himself, that he was coerced by someone to do this.
Well, I'm sure of that.
So that's one of the things that they were looking into, thinking that this kid was somehow talked into, into this whole thing,
right.
which would probably give you a little reasoning as to how he was able to be in certain places at certain times and knew how to get there, what was going to be there waiting for him, how to be able to, to do what he was going to do. You know what I mean? Like, why would that building just happen to have a ladder sitting there? You know what I mean? Why did you, or how did you know that they were using that building as a staging area?
And it would be unguarded. How would you know that they're not going to have people
That
there?
nobody was
Like,
going to
how
be
did
on the
you
roof.
know to get over there specifically and get away with it?
Exactly.
How do you do it? Right.
I know.
You don't just show up and do it.
Right. He didn't do this by himself. He had some help there. Somebody helped him. Now here's the question that you ask yourself. Now this was a foiled attempt, because you didn't hit the actual target that you was reaching for. Now, in your opinion, I'm gonna ask both of you, do you think there's a possibility that this could happen again? Doing this whole election cycle. Now,
Absolutely.
I'm not saying just him.
No, it could happen to
Because,
anybody
right.
at this
Somebody
point.
could take a pop
It's
shot
open
over here
game.
too. Right. It's open game for anybody.
I that's how I see it. Is I think everybody should get on their on that next level of security, and understand. Okay, we're in some crazy times right now. Obviously, politics is no joke. People will go to the extremes on both sides. And it's something that I think that we have become just so radicalized in a lot of different aspects that we're just like the lack for care of human life is sad. We get to that point, and I think that we should all be on guard, including now every single candidate that's out there rallying everybody, and that's why I love seeing what's his name just got his RFK Jr. or whatever. He got his service, that the Secret Service is now like they agreed, from Joe Biden that gave him the Secret Service or whatever the case is. I'm glad that they're upping this level of security at this point, because at first, Trump was, the whole thing with him going to Milwaukee the next day and a half or whatever the case was from the assassination attempt, and then the Secret Service actually declining to upgrade Trump's security was like, wow, are you serious? There's no way you can come to that conclusion. I think everybody should be on guard.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I mean, actually, I was glad when I did hear that they rose to security, and then they was also able to give RK Jr. a security detail as well, because he was basically just out there solo.
Too.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, he was out there solo.
Yep.
But they were, it is, but like even with his run, they actually trying to shoot him out the way anyway.
Totally. Because you're not a part of a certain, affiliation. Oh, you're an independent. Oh, you don't need it. No, the fuck you don't.
Right.
I'm telling you, man.
Right. So they, on that instinct, yes, they all need to be able to have that level of security. Now, there was something else that I heard that said something about it was something dealing with Iran, and that that they were trying to do something to Trump as well. I heard it. I seen something about that, but then too, not if you remember or not, back in 2018, somebody tried to send a bomb to the White House. You remember that?
I remember that.
And that was also for him. You know what I mean? So it's been a lot of crazy things. But what you don't want, though, Trump has a lot of faithful followers.
Oh yeah,
a lot of faithful followers.
100%.
And what you don't want is people armed to the teeth, waiting for something to go on. Like, okay, I'm not even gonna go into the rally, but I'm gonna sit out here and there's something go on.
Make my day, motherfucker. Yeah, exactly.
Right. You're gonna see them all over the place. These different groups and stuff like that. Everybody piling up in the trucks and running down there. Armed to the teeth, waiting on something to happen. That's what you don't want.
Right.
Because Because if something, let's just say, for instance, that this plan that was conspired actually happened. Okay. Do you know what state the U.S. would be in right now if that took place? We would literally be in a civil war right now if that took place.
Yep.
I mean,
100%.
that's how close. You was a centimeter close.
Yes, from a full-on civil war.
From all hell breaking loose.
The whole country would have been, the streets would have been mayhem.
Right. All hell would have broke loose. 1 centimeter.
We don't even realize how close it came. Right.
You know, so a lot of these people that's sitting here now, you know, like I've seen like on TV where they having the national convention right now. You see people walking around with the ear patch on their head, you know, everybody wearing ear patch because it's like the thing to do. You know what I mean? But for real,
crazy how trends work, huh?
Right. Here's the thing though. That's not a trend. That shit wasn't funny.
It shouldn't be, right? It wasn't. You know, people look at it as like, oh, it came out to be cool. You know, like, oh, that was badass. So people want to mimic that.
But like I said,
it's hilarious.
Ain't nothing cool by that when, number one, he came this close from not even being
all out
there.
War, right?
And two, you got someone right now that's no longer with us because of this. You know what I mean?
And that's something that pisses me off about, like, oh, this is only a conspiracy theory. Trump planned it out. Oh, the fake blood behind the ear patch bullshit, like whatever all these cases have come up to. And it's like, well, you know, tell that to the guy that got shot and his family. Tell his family that it was a conspiracy theory. Go do that.
Yeah. I mean, I put a post on Facebook a couple days ago, and I put a picture on there of 3 bullets. 3 different bullets.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them didn't even really pay attention to see or realize that there were 3 different bullets there. Now, you had, within like 2 days, you had like, it was like over 400 and some likes, but it was like 300 and some comments, and they going in on each other. Left, right, and indifferent. They talking about everything humanly possible they could talk about.
Oh yeah.
And then it was one guy on there was like, well, that ain't the right bullet. It's supposed to be this bullet. What difference does it make? What difference does it make about what bullet it was? The point I'm making is that these bullets came from an AR-15. Now, what they saying is that it was an AR-15 like. Now, because first they said it was an AR-15, then I heard it was a 22 sniper rifle. Then they said no, it was an AR-15 like weapon.
Most likely, it was a 223 coming from an AR platform, and then that's so that's a 22 caliber. So yeah, you know what I mean. But
so it could have been a various, you know, I mean,
yeah,
been a various amount. But I mean, you got at least 9 different bullets that you could have used.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, the choice of, I'm sorry, go ahead, Bishop.
But just to, the point I was making there is that you didn't read what I said. Because if you read what I said, then you knew it didn't have anything to do with the bullet. It had to do with the fact that all this other stuff took place. And why did it take place?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't read none of that. Only thing you looked at was the picture. You know what I mean? That's kind of like how most people say, if you want to hide information, you put it in a book, because most people ain't reading what you put on it anyway. They're looking at the pictures.
100%.
You know what I mean? And I really wanted to say something to the dude. Actually, on that, and I said, it's the only thing you're going to talk about out of everything I said. It's the fact
this is what you point out, right?
It's the fact of this bullet here, but you didn't even realize that it was 3 different bullets in the same picture, 3 different sizes in the same picture. You know what I mean? It really didn't even matter about the picture. You know what I mean? I didn't come on there and say this was the actual bullet that did this. That's not what I said. But you didn't read it. You know what I mean? And that's what happened with this. If this would have actually took place, people would have automatically went this way instead of stopping and looking and see exactly what happened, what's going on, this, that, and the third, and then make their conclusion as to what they're going to do. They automatically jump and shoot to the left, which, like I said, something like this, either side, if something like this took place, all hell breaks loose.
100%.
You know what I mean? And it can very easily happen. Like I said, it's happened once. Actually, this is the second time that they've tried with him personally.
Yep.
You know, and if you look at it, you're like, okay, in 18, we tried to send the bomb, that didn't work. Okay. Somebody took a pop shot at him this time, didn't work. You know, these people that's behind this, because you ain't hear about nobody else getting arrested.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you can't ask the guy, you know, you can't ask Thomas, who sent you here? Who made you do that? Because he's no longer here. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of information that you don't know because you took the man completely out the picture. You know what I mean? Which I understand. That's your job to do. Once he start firing, that's your job to do, is to subdue the target. I get that. You know, but there's a lot of information now that you don't know that you're going to have to try to figure out for that reason.
Right.
So we're
going. Papa Penguin, we are taking calls. It's scrolling on the bottom, 909-372-0410, if you'd like to, you know, contribute to the conversation.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Could I say something now?
Please do.
Go ahead.
Okay. I want to address a couple issues. You asked, is there a possibility that between now and election day something could happen? Oh, most definitely. I mean, the far right and the far left, they could start doing revenge shootings and shooting at each other. And right now, my best advice is don't wear anything that shows affiliation to Democratic or Republican Party, because now you're putting yourself out there to be a target for some extremist that wants to get some sort of revenge going, and they'll start shooting each other out there. So I wouldn't wear anything that would show affiliation right now. Two, there's a big difference.
Papa Penguin.
I'll wait.
Accept.
Mr. Penguin.
What's up, brother?
How you doing, kind sir?
Doing all right.
So what are your thoughts about this whole ordeal? Do you think that this is, you know, just a failed assassination, or do you think this is a full-on conspiracy at this point? What do you think?
I think it's Hameling's razor, right? Never attribute to malice what can be accounted for by incompetence. You know, nobody wants to be a cop anymore, so every agency is recruiting from the bottom of the barrel, especially up there in Philly.
You're right about that.
You got all these silly, questionable hires in the federal government and people being promoted that aren't competent to do the job. And then you got, you know, all these young people are being, for lack of a better term, radicalized by all this hyperbole the news media and everything puts out.
Yes, the rhetoric.
It's not beyond the realm.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, it's not beyond the realm of reason that some 20-year-old kid, you know, surfing the internet, gets in an echo chamber and decides he's going to try and do something and walks past a bunch of cops who are sitting there looking on their cell phones or chatting up a girl.
Yeah, you're right.
You know,
you're right. A lot of these kids are filled of just emotion at this point. Yeah. And then it's very easy to become radicalized, especially on the internet. You know, you go down those TikTok rabbit holes or Instagram or YouTube or whatever the case is. And then it's, you know, this rhetoric that we just loosely just talk and just are like openly hateful and, you know, wishing death upon people. And, dude missed, like all this shit. Right. You know, it's kind of sad to see that we just have this lack of human care.
And then you mix that with the detail that a
a former president or presidential candidate gets. I mean, if you're talking a sitting president, that's a detail. Anytime you go somewhere, that's, hundreds, if not over 1,000 people that are involved in that movement, right?
Right.
You got somebody who's a former president or a candidate, they're looking at a handful of people, probably no more than 2 dozen tops. So, yeah, I think it's just a bunch of stupidity met incompetence, and you end up with this.
Right.
Just my 2 cents. Could be wrong.
No, absolutely, and I'm with you on that, 100%.
Okay. And
anyways, thanks for the show, guys.
Absolutely, thank you for calling in for sure, Papa.
Appreciate you.
And let me finish my point. Not only would I not wear anything showing affiliation, I have to credit the media from 2016 up till now, doing everything they can to split us up as a population. There's so much hate between religion, politics, color,
men versus women. I mean, everything they can think of. Yep.
Everything to divide and conquer and split us up. And, people are reaching a boiling point. So can something happen between now and then? Most definitely. Most definitely. Especially the more economically pressed they become, the more people be willing to strike out, because they can only take so much before something blows.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want to make one last point. The type of ammunition used was full metal jacket. There's a big difference between range and target ammunition versus self-defense loads.
Yes.
If it was a big conspiracy, I think they would have supplied him with some ammunition, proper ammunition. Seeing what he chose to use, if it was a conspiracy, they didn't supply him with the right stuff, and or they left it to his discretion to come up with ammo, and that's what Dad had on hand, so that's what he took, was basically range and target ammo.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it did say in a report that he had been to the gun range a week prior, and there was also that he personally bought ammo from a gun store. So it wasn't something that somebody else gave him. He purchased this himself, which is probably the reason why. Probably the reason why he bought range bullets.
Yeah,
that's probably the reason why that took place, because
Mm-hmm.
it did say that he purchased those bullets. Now the rifle, from my understanding, belonged to his father
Of like 10 years, right?
Mm-hmm. But he did purchase it, and he was at a gun range a week prior to this taking place.
And if what I'm hearing is true, there's a difference between a scoped optic versus a red dot type sight.
Right. 100%.
If I'm understanding right, he either had an EOTech or aim point red dot sight on there.
And those are great too, but yeah,
those are great for close quarter combat, but distant shooting, an optic sight, 3 to 9 variable or something, is much better.
I got a 1x6 on mine, and that thing is great. You know what I mean? You can zero into damn near almost anything. It's great.
Which again makes me feel this was more amateur hour on his part, and showed a great lack of knowledge, because anyone with any skills or a qualified hunter would have known the right stuff to use.
100%. I agree.
Mm-hmm. Now, you notice though, like with a lot of these, let's say a lot of these different, like people that does mass shootings and stuff like that, when they go and check the residence and stuff like that, they find a lot of stuff that was dealing with what they was doing. Some of them write letters. Some of them, do put crazy stuff on social media, stuff like that. Some places they had like pictures and where they didn't tacked everything up on a board as to how they was going to do it and stuff like that. I don't think they found stuff like that dealing with this kid.
Right. I think it was a lot more amateur hour, like Aaron said, than it was super, super planned out. You know, just like you said, I mean, if you're to do something of this, caliber, I definitely would not be using a red dot of any type. You know, I'd be using a 1x6 scope or something like of the sort, you know what I mean? Where you can actually zero in, zoom in, all of that stuff. And yeah, that's what is going to definitely help your shot. Hence why, using a red dot amateur hour from that far away, yeah, it's great from when you're clearing rooms or doing, small little competitions within your gun range or whatever. But to do something of that far, no, it's not that far, granted, but at the same token, you're not going to get the exact same result that you want, right? You're not going to get the same close grouping as you would with something like with a actual scope.
Mhm. Well, like go back to like what Aaron said earlier. Once he scared that officer off and the officer went back down that ladder, he knew at that point that he was on borrowed time.
Mm-hmm.
So he had to hurry up. And so I think, like I said, that part there was more of a rush job. He had to get it off.
Yep.
But like I said, I mean, like I said, they're gonna be investigating this for a while.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I
This is not going
still
to just be
think
dropped and figured out right away.
right.
You know.
I still think that once they get down to the bottom of this, it's gonna be some other people involved. Somebody talked this kid into doing this.
Oh, I'm sure of that. I'm sure of that. I'm sure
Somebody
that he
talked him
didn't
into
do
doing
it all by himself. I'm sure there was a little help and or motivation
Mm-hmm.
in different ways.
Just by, like I said, just by looking at this kid, you can tell that he had something that was going on with him. I don't, I mean,
No, absolutely. I
I'm
feel
not a
that.
doctor to diagnose exactly what it is, but you could tell that he had something going
There's
on.
something, right?
And that could have easily have been someone like, they were talking about him being bullied through school and stuff like that. That could have easily been someone who befriended him, wanted to be his buddy, treated him like a friend, what I mean, gave him a little sense of security, what I mean, we're friends now. You don't got to worry about this. We got your back. This, you know what I mean? And that's how people lure people into groups and stuff like that anyway, because they find people that has low self-esteem, people that's been bullied and chastised, and they bring them into the fold, and befriend them. And then later on, after you done groomed them for a while, then you get them to go out and do something that you want them to do. Now that very well could have happened.
It very well could have.
I just don't see this kid, just looking at him, I just don't see this kid doing this by himself. I just don't see it.
Right.
But I do see somebody coercing him to do this.
I see that too.
Yeah. And there's one other angle, and this might sound extreme to you guys, but it happens all overseas all the time. They'll take pictures of someone's family, recent pictures, show it to a person and say, hey, you're going to wear this bomb vest and go pull this bomb off, or we're going to shoot your family. So if they threatened his family and told him, you got to go do this, he could have been under that type of a threat as well, being coerced into something. So it's hard to make the call with him not being here to know what his rhyme or reason is. But
it would be great to be able to ask those questions, right? And figure this out, but unfortunately, this is something we're not going to figure out like that. Real quick, Papa, I cannot thank you enough for the 10 YouTube memberships that you gifted out to the community, man. Thank you so much more than you understand, man. That goes way far. That's a big donation, man. I very much appreciate you. I see everyone that got them in the chat, man, and went crazy. So I very much appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Yeah,
this is all the way around sad situation, man.
Right.
It's terrible.
Who was that just put a comment on there? That last one you put on there. Something
Guardian
about
Riders.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah, and I heard the Secret Service even said that they actually went up there and decided that they're not going to man that area because of the slope, that they didn't want to endanger their Secret Service agents. Now, how much that is true, I have no idea. just something that I've heard through the media, and I'm sure that a lot of it can be propaganda too, but it's something to think about, right? Like, oh, they went up there, knew it was an area that they could clear. This is an advantage point, obviously, but hey, we're not going to man this because, oh, there's some angle on it and it's dangerous for the Secret Service agents, right?
I mean,
Yeah, that's
did
rough.
they think that, or did they think, well, hell, ain't no point in us manning this. Hell, we in here. That's probably what they was like, man, don't nobody need to be up here. We in here. Ain't nobody going
Right.
up there.
We're already right here. Why would no one would do that shit? No.
Right.
Guess again.
Right. And it was the place that you went. We
Mm-hmm.
went right where they were at. Crawled right over top of them.
Like it's
and
nothing.
did this. You know what I mean? So all of you sitting inside.
That's some ballsy moves.
Like all y'all should be fired. All y'all that was in that building should be fired.
Yep. I agree with that. It's like, where's the security?
Right.
Well,
nobody was standing outside.
That's what Secret Service is saying. They're saying that building wasn't their responsibility because that was the staging building for the local police. The police were the ones that was all inside there. And since they had control of that building, the Secret Service didn't pay no attention. Now, as far as the ladder around back, if that was an attached ladder, and that's what I haven't heard yet. If that was an attached ladder, there's a way that you could chain those ladders up where a person cannot use them. That should have been taken care of. And if it was an unattached ladder, that should have been removed. The local police should not have left that sitting there like that. And I saw the slope of that roof, and I saw the guy laying up there. I wouldn't be scared to walk up on that roof. That roof was pretty flat for him to be laying up there like he was laying. It wasn't so sloped that you're going to come sliding down it.
Right.
Right.
Like, hey, we're not special trained in that aspect, but you could do it. Very interesting how the media has talked about that. Yeah. Whether it's true or not, still, very crazy.
Now I'm sure
it was unmanned.
Up there. You've been up there any length of time, that heat reflecting off that tin roof. I'm sure it was blazing hot up there.
Cooking right there, dude. That's let me tell you something, man. It's not very cool in the South. It's not very cool.
No, not
it's freaking hot, humid, man. Oh, I would not want to do that.
No, not up here right now. I mean, it's blazing up in Pennsylvania, Ohio area right now. I mean, it's been in upper 90s.
Easily.
So you can imagine you up on that tin roof. It's been baking all day.
Yeah.
So
you're gonna feel it.
Right. Soon as you got up there, you felt that heat coming up off that roof.
Instant sweat. Like, oh, yeah, that's rough. That's a good point.
And then I also want to add, again, going back to training, every person isn't trained on the same craft. I mean, to be technically proficient at your craft, the sniper is trained to be the sniper. The girl that was hiding behind Trump, if you put her behind that sniper rifle, she probably wouldn't be very good at it.
You're right.
The guys that run alongside the White House car when the president's in it, everyone can't do that job. They're specifically trained for that job. The guys that run up and cover you or women, they're specifically trained for that, to react a certain way. Everyone doesn't have the same training. So I don't know how much of each he had on him, but I'm sure he was working with a skeleton crew.
Yeah, no kidding.
Absolutely. We've been let me see where we sitting at right now. 119. Yeah, we about there. This was a scary situation, thinking about, when you start this particular thing that happened, you think about this, you think about Reagan, you think about JFK.
Yes.
Lincoln, and there was numerous presidents that's been assassinated. This one here, it hits closer to home for us because this is our generation.
It's within our time.
Tried to, like I was around when Reagan was, but I was a child. You know what I mean?
It's a little different when you're an adult and you can remember where you were when it happened. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So this one here just kind of hits whether, it don't matter what affiliation that you may be. You know what I mean? A person's a person. I mean, a president, an ex-president, doesn't
We're all
matter.
human.
You know
right?
what I mean? Somebody actually went to the length to try to assassinate this man. You know, like I said, it's more things is going to have to take place. They're going to need more security. They also going to have to find out who it was that was actually behind this. You know, because it just wasn't that kid. You know,
Right.
Granted, right now that's what they're going to do. Everybody, you know, everything that you hear right now, they are talking about this kid here. But I bet you, y'all mark my words, they're going to find out that this kid was not by himself. He was not by himself. He was coerced. So hold on a minute. I'm gonna let you get it. But I wanted to let everybody know, first and foremost, I appreciate you all for coming out like you do every week. We're gonna try to keep this little call-in thing going and see how it goes, you know, on a lot of these shows, just to kind of get everybody more interactive to what we're doing besides the chat line, where you can come in and actually talk, ask a question, you know, put your 2 cents in or whatever. So we're gonna start doing that. But like I said, I'm gonna close out on my end. I'm gonna let Mikey do his, and Aaron, you can do yours. We'll let Aaron go next, being in fact he got something to say.
Okay.
But until then, peace out, people. Much love. Go ahead, Aaron.
Okay. What I want people to realize is how close we averted a crisis situation here. When I was young, I was in grade school, and Martin Luther King was killed. When he died and he was shot, our grade school shut down. They let us go around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and they wanted us to get down the street before they released the local high school, which was about 4 blocks away. As soon as they released the high school, the rioting and fighting started right at the high school. My parents, we lived up on a hill, and back then we weren't called preppers, we were called survivalists. Okay. But their parents before them, it was just everyday living to have those skill sets. But we lived about 8 houses down from a place called West Town Shopping Center, and the VA was right across the street from it. And by that evening, fighting broke out everywhere, and there was, man, it was bad. You could hear gunfire all through the night. National Guard was brought in. Helicopters were landing at the VA. Probably about 3 miles from where we were living, there was a creek that ran through that separated West Dayton from Northwest Dayton, Dayton View area. And there was a bridge there, and there was a tank sitting on that damn bridge to prevent people from coming over to that side of town to aid in the rioting that was going on. There was a Marine base on a street called Gettysburg that we called it Fort Apache. Marines came out of there to assist. I mean, for about a week or two, it was mayhem. And I'm gonna tell you, my parents, again, being survivalists, we had enough food and water in the house and things that for the week or two that we had to stay in, we didn't have to leave the house to go get anything. And that made a world of difference, being able to bunker in at home and not have to go out and try to go through those crowds of people that were throwing bricks and Molotov cocktails and mess. This hits home for me because I remember that. I was around when Kennedy got killed. I saw the nation as a whole mourn that situation. I mean, these things can, you hope that a crisis when it comes will slowly ease into it and you got time to prepare. But something like this can happen overnight. You never know when the day before is actually the day before. So keep on prepping.
That's right. That's a good thing to leave off with, is keep on prepping, right? I fully back that statement 100%. You know, we can't do this show without you guys. I can't thank you enough for coming and hanging out with us, you know, during all of the different crazy radical topics that we have every single week here on the Diamond Effect. I love discussing geopolitics, the world news, stuff that's going on, so that we can be more and well informed, right? The better informed we are, the I believe, the better off we're going to be. You know, knowledge is power in that aspect. Again, I cannot thank you enough, Papa, for the 10 gifted subs, man. I cannot thank you enough for that. It means the world to, you know, that you support the show like that, man. It goes extremely, extremely far. With that being said, I cannot thank every one of you guys enough. Much love and respect. And we will see you guys in 7 days on the same podcast, man. And get ready for some crazy shit. I mean, it's just getting more and more crazy at this point. And I can't thank everyone enough on the panel, and, you know, Archbishop, Aaron, for the show, and for you guys showing up, throwing in your guys' expertise there. And we will see you guys in 7 days. Much love, and we'll see you guys on the flip side. Peace.
One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free, then let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free, mentally and physically, emotionally and spiritually. One day I'm gonna be free. I'm standing at the crossroads, feeling like a lost soul. Don't know where I wanna go, but all I know is I wanna be free. They telling me to let it